What I see in Michael Thomas is an excellent now I hate to sound like your typical football analyst guy, but he is just an excellent overall football player. At receiver, he does everything you want that guy to do. And he deserves to get paid, and he will. He's in a position of tremendous leverage. But the highest, to me, that means you should be in the elite. And I'm not going to tell you top 5 or top 10, because then we can quibble about the margins. I'm going to say, because it's arbitrary. Like, so there are levels, top level. Here's the top level of receivers, and we all know the names. Let's not pretend. There's Odell and Julio Jones and Antonio Brown and DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the 5th slot is up for grabs, A.J. Green, or because of injury and age, you want to put Michael Thomas in there, or you can make an argument for Mike Evans in certain seasons, or Amari Cooper if he's coming on. But the bottom line is Odell and Antonio Brown and Julio Jones, and now DeAndre Hopkins forced his way into that conversation. Michael Thomas is not quite there, so he shouldn't be the highest paid.
That stat that we just had up on the screen shows that he's been getting ripped off essentially for the past 3 years, that he's been getting robbed for his per-catch production. And you say that he's not the top. His numbers suggest that he is amongst the top. And so you change the question some, because the question is, does he deserve to be the highest paid receiver in the game? And you changed it to, is he the best receiver in the game? Which I think those are different questions. I mean, essentially,
he's not in the uppermost elite tier.
And the numbers suggest that he is. And I think that I agree that he deserves to be the highest paid receiver in the game. And I'm not going to go through all the stuff about the cap going up and the guy resets the market, because that's something that all sports fans and you completely understand. But we will talk about his value. And while his value on the open market may not be as high as Hopkins, for example, or high as Odell Beckham, his value to this team is almost immeasurable. We talk about Drew Brees. We all accept that Drew Brees is getting older, and it's showing some. He's somewhat on the decline. This guy is responsible for the vast majority of their passing game. He is a bit you would like a guy who has more of a deep threat. I would agree with that. His per catch or yards per catch numbers.
He's got good hands.
Yeah, his yards per catch numbers are similar to a tight end. That's not great. I don't like that. But you have to understand that he means a ton to this team and to this player. So right now, he is so valuable that I think, giving all those other constraints and those other variables, that he does deserve to be the highest paid receiver in the game.
I understand the argument. Normally, you would say, like, being a system quarterback or a system player is not necessarily a bad thing. And here, when you say his numbers look like a tight end, that's a lot to do with the system he's playing in. And that's not his fault, and he's excellent. By the way, he gets contested balls, he has excellent hands, whether or not he gets separation, he runs routes, he does everything you wanted. That's why I said he's just an excellent overall football player. But I do think that if you are in the elite most level and intend to be the highest paid guy, his argument really is leverage right now. They need to, I'm talking about if you deserve to be the highest paid guy, not just because of the situation you're in, then I would say that you can't be a system guy. You have to be a guy who would ball no matter where they put you on the highest possible level.
It doesn't matter. Context matters. Context matters. His situation means he is that to this team. He is the most, or one of the most important cogs to this machine. So he deserves that money. I understand, and I agree with you. On the open market, he's not the first guy I would take, in part because he's not a great downfield threat. You could argue that maybe that's partially the decline of Drew Brees' arm strength also. But I do think that it matters that for this team, he is as important as anybody. He's as important as Kamara, and they're losing Ingram, so they're going to need some more offensive support. And then you look at the rest of that roster, they don't have very many playmakers to rely on. It's hard for you to get excited about anybody else. So, yes, if you're not going to pay anybody else to catch the ball, you better pay this dude as much as you pay.
I'm not arguing about leverage.
Yeah, Dominique, they said that he had 97 more catches than the next highest wide receiver on that team. I mean, that is such a gap. So, I mean, maybe situational, but I mean, in terms of that.
Not just on that team. He has the most catches since he's been in the NFL. He has the most catches of any receiver in the league.
He also benefits as much as the Saints benefit from his presence, which they do. It's symbiotic. But,
absolutely.
But he also benefits from the fact that he is playing with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And it's a very, very good situation.
Could you not say that about Ezekiel Elliott? Does he not benefit from running behind the very best offensive line in the NFL?
Yes, but the difference is Ezekiel Elliott would be an absolute first-tier elite player at his position on any team, and it would be obvious. he's athletically different than other guys.
I'm not sure that that's not true about Michael Thomas. Like, I think what has he shown?
What do you suspect?
What has he shown that suggests that he won't be successful elsewhere?
No, but it's not
I
success.
think he'll be outstanding
he's
elsewhere.
Outstanding is one thing. I'm talking about, look, if you said,
I think that's also
if you said who is the first tier of running backs, Saquon and Zeke and Gurley if he's healthy and Le'Veon Bell when last seen, right? Like that's
Right.
Now you can start talking about other guys. If you talked about the first tier of receivers, it's Odell and Julio and AB. And now you have to, like DeAndre Hopkins is a guy who has forced his way in. He
Right.
must be talked about with those three, even if your eyeballs say those three are different. I don't think Michael Thomas is that quite.
Now, maybe I'm arguing against myself a little bit here, but I think the point you're trying to make is best made when you look at Odell Beckham, because you would argue that with a quarterback that was not as good as Eli Manning, that was not very good, considering Eli Manning hasn't been very good, Odell Beckham was still outstanding.
Yep.
If we drop Michael Thomas in that situation, would he still have those same numbers? I would agree with you that I'm not exactly sure because he doesn't have the same explosiveness, but that's not the situation we're in. We're in a situation where he is the entirety of their pass offense. The entirety of their pass offense is built around him.
If you're
so that gives him so much value to this team, which is the only team that can re-sign him right now, that he deserves to be the highest paid.
If you're asking, will he be the highest paid? My answer is yes.
We know that.
If you're saying, given the way the business operates, does he deserve to be the highest paid based on supply and demand and leverage and Drew Brees' age? The answer is yes. But if you simply ask me, hey, should Michael Thomas be the highest paid receiver in football? I would say he should be like the 5th highest paid receiver in football.
So to me, like I said, it feels like you're changing the question to like, is he a top 3 receiver or does he deserve to be highest paid?
No, I'm saying that for me, in order to say that, you should be in the first tier elite.
For me, in order to say that, you need to be first tier elite on that team. Take them off that team, what are they?
They're a team that needs a lead receiver.
Well, the question was, does Thomas deserve to be the highest paid receiver in the league? Dominic, you said yes, maybe situational, but the answer is still yes. Yeah. Max is saying no on this one.
But hey, Michael Thomas, get your money.
Hey, get that money,
You're a
right?
great player.
Hater.
Absolutely. All right.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.